There is no entertainment empire in the history of Hollywood or in the history of human storytelling that has ever come close to matching what Marvel Studios has built since a single medium-budget superhero film starring a second-tier comic book character opened in cinemas on May 2nd, 2008. And the numbers behind that empire, when you lay them out from beginning to end across 17 years, 6 phases, 33 released films, and a combined global box office that has surpassed $32.4 billion according to Wikipedia's verified franchise data, making the MCU the single highest-grossing film franchise in the history of cinema, ahead of Star Wars, ahead of James Bond, ahead of Harry Potter, ahead of every other intellectual property that Hollywood has ever produced, tell a story so dramatic, so financially staggering, and so full of peaks and valleys and shocking comebacks that it deserves to be told in its complete and proper form. The story begins with Phase 1, the 6-film foundation that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and Disney spent approximately $956 million to build, and which returned $381 billion at the global box office, a collective return that justified every risk and proved that the interconnected cinematic universe concept, which nearly every studio executive in Hollywood privately thought was impossible to execute, was in fact the greatest innovation in blockbuster filmmaking since the invention of the summer movie itself. And Phase 1 opened with Iron Man in 2008, made on a budget of $140 million, and directed by Jon Favreau, with Robert Downey Jr. in the title role, a casting choice that was considered a massive gamble given Downey's troubled personal history at the time, and yet Iron Man grossed $585.8 million worldwide against that $140 million budget and became the spark that lit one of history's greatest financial fires, followed by The Incredible Hulk in 2008 with a $150 million budget and $264 million collection, the lowest-grossing MCU film of all time and a film whose muted performance led Marvel to quietly recast the character, then Iron Man 2 in 2010 with a $200 million budget earning $623 million, then Thor in 2011 with a $150 million budget collecting $449 million, then Captain America, the first Avenger in 2011 with a $140 million budget earning $370 million, and then the Phase 1 finale that changed everything, The Avengers in 2012, assembled for a budget of $220 million and directed by Joss Whedon, which became the first superhero film in history to cross $1 billion worldwide, ultimately finishing with $1.52 billion in global collections and proving beyond any doubt that audiences would show up in unprecedented numbers to watch Marvel's interconnected heroes share a screen. Phase 2 arrived from 2013 to 2015 across 6 films with a combined budget of approximately $1.2 billion and a combined collection of $5.27 billion, a 340% return on investment that no other film franchise in history has ever matched across an equivalent number of films, led by Iron Man 3 in 2013 with a $200 million budget that earned an extraordinary $1.215 billion worldwide. Thor: The Dark World in 2013 with a $170 million budget earning $644 million. Captain America: The Winter Soldier in 2014 with a $170 million budget collecting $714 million. Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, the riskiest bet of the entire Infinity Saga, a film built around characters virtually no mainstream audience had ever heard of, made for $170 million and delivering a stunning $773 million worldwide that turned a talking raccoon and a sentient tree into globally beloved icons, followed by Avengers: Age of Ultron in 2015, with the Phase 2 high budget of $365 million earning $1.402 billion, and Ant-Man in 2015 with a $130 million budget earning $519 million, together establishing the pattern of Marvel's financial genius, calculated escalation of budgets paired with exponentially growing audience loyalty. Phase 3, running from 2016 to 2019 across 13 films with a combined production investment and a combined worldwide collection of $13.52 billion, represents the greatest run of consecutive blockbuster success that any film studio has ever achieved in cinema history, opening with Captain America: Civil War in 2016, made for $250 million and earning $153 billion. Then Doctor Strange in 2016 with a $165 million budget, collecting $677 million. Then Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2 in 2017 with a $200 million budget, earning $863 million. Then Spider-Man: Homecoming in 2017 with a $175 million budget collecting $880 million, then Thor, Ragnarok in 2017, perhaps the single most critically beloved film of Phase 3 alongside Black Panther, made for $180 million and earning $854 million, then Black Panther in 2018, the cultural earthquake whose $200 million budget generated $1,246 billion worldwide and whose domestic collection of $700 million remains one of the highest. In MCU history, then, Avengers Infinity War in 2018 with a $325 million budget, the largest MCU production budget to that point, which earned an astonishing $2,052 billion worldwide and left audiences around the globe in genuine shock when its ending saw Thanos snap half of all life in the universe out of existence. Then Ant-Man and the Wasp in 2018 with a $162 million budget earning $623 million. Then Captain Marvel in 2019 with a $152 million budget collecting $1.128 billion, and then the single most important film in the entire MCU, Avengers Endgame in 2019, produced on a budget of approximately $356 million, which opened with the single largest opening weekend in the history of cinema at $1.236 billion globally, including $357 million domestically and $859 million internationally in a single weekend, and which ultimately accumulated $2.799 billion in total worldwide collections to briefly overtake Avatar as the highest grossing film of all time, a record since reclaimed by Avatar's re-releases, followed by Spider-Man Far From Home in 2019 with a $160 million budget and $1.132 billion collection that served as the perfect Phase 3 epilogue and pushed the MCU's total franchise box office past $22 billion. Phase 4 ran from 2021 to 2022 across 7 films with a combined budget in excess of $1.3 billion and a combined worldwide collection of $5.71 billion, a period that saw Marvel navigating the post-pandemic theatrical landscape and the unprecedented challenge of following the most successful trilogy of superhero films ever made, with Black Widow opening Phase 4 in 2021 on a $200 million budget, earning $379 million in a heavily pandemic-affected theatrical run, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings in 2021, with a $150 million budget surprising everyone with $432 million, Eternals in 2021 with a $200 million budget earning $402 million, Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021 becoming the event film of the pandemic era, with a $200 million budget and a staggering $1.921 billion worldwide collection that made it the third highest grossing film in MCU history and the highest grossing film in Sony's history, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in 2022, with a $200 million budget earning $955 million, Thor, Love and Thunder in 2022 with a $250 million budget, collecting $761 million, and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever in 2022 with a $250 million budget earning $859 million in a deeply emotional film made in the shadow of Chadwick Boseman's passing. Phase 5 brought 6 films with a combined production budget of approximately $1,573 billion and a combined collection of $3,654 billion, a phase that saw MCU facing genuine audience fatigue for the first time in its history. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania in 2023 with a $200 million budget earning a disappointing $476 million, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 in 2023 with a $250 million budget delivering an emotionally resonant $845 million, The Marvels in 2023 with a $220 million budget suffering the MCU's worst ever opening and earning just $206 million worldwide, the lowest Phase 5 total by far, and a genuine wake-up call for Marvel Studios. Then Captain America, Brave New World in 2025 with a $180 million budget earning $192 million on opening weekend, and then the single greatest course correction in MCU history, Deadpool and Wolverine in 2024, which with a total budget reported by Forbes at approximately $533 million, making it the 4th most expensive movie ever made opened to $444 million globally in a single weekend, went on to earn $1,338 billion worldwide, became the first R-rated film in history to cross $1 billion, and pushed the MCU's cumulative global box office past $30 billion for the first time in franchise history, according to Variety, a milestone Disney officially celebrated as the first film franchise ever to reach that number. Looking ahead, Phase 6 is building toward what may be the most expensive pair of films in Hollywood history, Avengers Doomsday, scheduled for December 2026, and Avengers Secret Wars, scheduled for December 2027, both directed by the Russo brothers, with Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom. Films whose combined pre-production budget is already reported to be between $600 million and $1 billion, which industry experts project to break Endgame's records, with Avengers Doomsday already being called the most anticipated film of 2026 by over 700 industry insiders, and all of this, every single dollar of the $32.4 billion and counting that the MCU has generated, traces back to that $140 million gamble made in 2008 on a man in an iron suit, a gamble that became the greatest franchise investment in the history of entertainment.